So yeah, hello Brittany. Finally, the stage is yours. So yeah,
Good to see you,
apologies for
Sergey.
the delays. For again, there are not that much people who doesn't know Brittany Kaiser, but I still should run the small introduction for those who may not know. So Brittany Kaiser is a co-founder of an Own Your Data Foundation, a co-founder of a Digital Asset Trade Association. She was also working on the Barack Obama's media team during his presidential campaign in 2007. And she is also famous for being associated with Cambridge Analytica and making the right choices during this process. Brittany, uh,
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sergey. Such a pleasure to be here with you all, and really an honor to be able to keynote this conference. I'm going to quickly share some of my slides with you all. Let's do that. Okay, there we go. Mm, There we go. Okay. All right. Can you guys see my screen? Oh, here we go. Sergey, can you see that? Okay.
yeah. I can see that, and I believe others also can see that. So yeah,
Wonderful.
now the stage is yours. Yeah, please let me know if I can help you in any
That's
way.
wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you for giving me time to address all of you today. So, what I wanted to discuss with you is one of the, I would say, most prolific stories in the digital asset space, which is really how secure digital assets have helped Ukraine take control of its digital future and really become one of the world's biggest leaders in exponential technologies, but especially in distributed ledger. I think in order to really land the plane of how important this topic is to me, first I will talk a little bit more about why I believe distributed ledger technologies are so incredibly important, and then tell a few stories about some of the ways that Ukraine specifically has been able to implement those in world changing ways. So, as you all have probably heard before, data is the world's most valuable asset class. It was in 2017 when The Economist told us all that data had now surpassed oil and gas as the world's most valuable asset. A multi-trillion-dollar industry around the world of data architecture that is unsecure, untrackable, untraceable, completely untransparent. And for that to be a multi-trillion-dollar industry without the ability to actually secure and encrypt and track and trace and monetize this data in different types of ways, there are just huge opportunities in exponential technologies like distributed ledger, like being able to encrypt and own your data and use smart contracting technology to self-execute data operations in ways that are much more secure, reliable, and auditable than ever before. And why did we really get here to a point where these technologies are necessary? It's because a lot of the tech giants, which now are the most valuable companies in the world, are companies that are made up of our data, our digital assets that we have created. And some of these companies are worth hundreds of billions or over $1 trillion based off of the value of our personal information that has mostly been siphoned from us in ways that were not transparent or consensual. So when you think about that massive value creation that we as individuals have been able to do for these companies, you start to think about what are we missing out on as part of the value chain, and what could the potential of being able to encrypt and secure these data transfers, what could that actually mean for the world? Now, I guess, why am I the right person to talk to you about this? Or how did I get to feel so strongly about these technologies? Well, I think some of you might know me from crypto or some of the work I've done with Ukraine, but also you probably might have seen that I was a big tech whistleblower. I used to be a director at Cambridge Analytica, one of the most infamous data science companies in the world, where we worked with governments, militaries, and companies in order to build out their backend data architecture and data science strategy. And once I realized the amount of companies, governments, and militaries that were using data in unethical ways and in general didn't really have any control over where data was going and how it was being used, especially by particular unethical clients around elections, I saw that there was a huge opportunity to not just bring awareness and light onto these issues, but to actually start working on and promoting technologies that would help fix some of the problems that I saw in the data science industry. Now, the big data crisis, as a lot of people refer to it, is really just the tip of the iceberg, because every day with new exponential technologies, we're creating exponentially more data than the day before. So all of the problems that we've had with privacy, data protection, tracking and traceability, and transparency are only getting worse and more exponential. Now that we are in the age of AI, we have seen that because many countries did not work fast enough on legislation and regulation on data protection, we still don't have enough basic data protection and privacy protocols in place to even start to conceptualize of how we would regulate AI in an ethical manner. So I think talking a little bit about how we are unprotected in the way that data is normally used and what we seek to fix. What we're really trying to do is move from kind of the data wild west into digital trust. And what digital trust means to me is transparency, actually knowing what data is being used and where it's going, consent, the ability to really understand what data you would be giving away and sharing and for what purposes it's going to be used. Then, of course, accountability, being able to show where data is going and make sure that it's only being used for the purposes to which people consented to. Then ownership, the ability to actually own your digital assets and be able to control them in either an anonymized or pseudonymized way when interacting with other people in the digital space. And then increasingly, the conversation also has evolved around sustainability. So as we scale up large-scale technology infrastructures, we need data centers that are running in a sustainable way. Carbon-free energy, renewables now comes into this conversation as well. For privacy versus AI, the reason why I talk about this is that a lot of people believe these things are completely separate from each other, which either we're going to be sharing more of our data for AI or we're going to keep our privacy. I don't think that that's the case. In fact, I believe using distributed ledger technologies, especially digital identity protocols, that we have the ability to share more data than ever before because we can share it safely and anonymously or pseudonymously. We can track and trace it. We can monetize the data that we have consented to monetize. And in general, we can make sure that technology is working for us as opposed to us working for technology. And I really believe that data can help solve the world's greatest problems. And I think some of the incredible initiatives that have been going on in Ukraine and that have been initiated by Ukraine really show the best-in-class examples of case studies of how these technologies really can make an incredible positive social impact. Now, for me, I really see three different ways that distributed ledger is advancing and changing society. One is firstly on education and awareness for people actually understanding what their data rights are, cybersecurity protocols, digital security, digital safety, and how to run their digital lives in a way where they can not just protect themselves and their own interests, but where they can be successful leading a digital life and using technology products. The next, of course, is legislation and regulation. Through especially evangelizing distributed ledger technologies, legislators and regulators and politicians around the world are starting to better understand data protection and cybersecurity and how we can use new technologies to make the world a safer place while still engaging in our digital lives on a daily basis. And then, of course, thirdly, the development of blockchain and distributed ledger products and protocols is really proving in real time how incredibly impactful these technologies can be in people's lives. So I really believe that blockchain is here for helping us scale trust. And so I'm going to go through some Ukrainian solutions for data protection and empowerment that I'm sure some of you are familiar with some of them, maybe not all of them. I'll start with the most famous one, which I was absolutely honored to take part in, which was the launch by the Ministry of Digital Transformation of Ukraine of Aid for Ukraine, which was our original crypto humanitarian aid fund. I don't know if you see, I'm now wearing United 24, which is now the main humanitarian aid fund for the government of Ukraine. But we started actually with Aid for Ukraine, which was a fully crypto-only humanitarian aid fund that was launched 2 days after the invasion started. And I'll tell you a little story about it because you might know a little bit, but maybe not followed the process of how that was launched. So if you can see in the top left-hand corner, the day after the invasion started, I was lucky to get put in touch with the group that was organizing to launch this aid fund. And we started putting together a strategy of how we would actually launch a crypto humanitarian aid fund so that we could get the most needed humanitarian aid into Ukraine at a time where it was over the weekend at the end of February, so banks weren't working, and in general, it was difficult to get money in fiat into Ukraine at the time. So we started by launching with this tweet saying that the government of Ukraine was now accepting cryptocurrency donations in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and USDT. That immediately went viral, and we started getting not just donations from around the world, but also offers of larger donations if we would accept other types of cryptocurrencies. As you can see here, one of the famous tweets from Gavin Wood, who wrote to us and said, if you post a dot address, I'll personally contribute $5 million. Then, of course, the team at the Ministry of Digital and everyone that was supporting this quickly created a dot address, and we were able to post that dot address, and within 30 minutes, received what was then $5.8 million in Polkadot, and it quickly went up in value with the amount of press attention that this donation received. So then you can see the government of Ukraine account thanking Gavin here. And that started to kick off tons of other thought leaders in the digital asset space to come and participate. If you see at the top here, Pac, one of the most famous NFT artists who is completely anonymous, had just done a huge NFT drop and project in order to fundraise for actually Julian Assange, the Free Julian Assange campaign. And he had earned quite a lot of money himself in his personal treasury off of that as well. And he donated the entire treasury to the Aid for Ukraine campaign, which you can see here. That was 670 ETH, which at the time was nearly $2 million. Then, of course, Solana and Everstake Pool started their own campaign and their own fund. And so Minister Fedorov started a Sol address for Aid for Ukraine as well. And then within the community, everyone started jumping on board and getting to be a part of this. As you can see, Time Magazine here started an effort called Make Art Not War, and that was specifically encouraging both Ukrainian artists and other artists from around the world to create art and donate the donations to Ukraine as well. Now, this was one of the ways to use humor in a horrific scenario, but there was one day, March 2nd of 2022, where the value of Dogecoin exceeded the value of the Russian ruble. And so in celebration of that, a Doge wallet was created for Aid for Ukraine, and millions of dollars were raised in Doge, which was really exciting. And then we created a Monero wallet, and then there was an entire NFT donation campaign, and a CryptoPunk was donated. And then Bored Ape Yacht Club noticed that their holders and their members had donated over 1 million in ETH, and so they matched it directly from Yuga Labs. So again, this was a huge snowballing campaign that became an example of how you could really create what became not just Aid for Ukraine, but also many other nonprofits like Come Back Alive and World Central Kitchen were starting their own crypto wallets. There was, of course, Ukraine DAO that did a huge auction and made a very large donation, around $8 million as well. And so amongst all of the different efforts, there were hundreds of millions of euro that ended up coming in to Ukraine in crypto. And that's how a lot of the first night vision goggles and bulletproof vests and food rations were brought in, because it took weeks for the European Union, which was the first public money that was allocated to aid for Ukraine. That took weeks to get sent in fiat and hit accounts in Ukraine. So the speed and the immediacy of the crypto and the ability for all of the first humanitarian rations and tools and kits to be purchased in Bitcoin and Ethereum and Tether is absolutely huge. It's the first time something like this has ever been done, and now it has been replicated all around the world in tons of different countries. Another amazing project that many of you are probably aware of, again supported by the Ministry of Digital of Ukraine's MetaHistory. So MetaHistory.gallery was the first government-backed NFT project. The incredible people that built and managed this worked with tons of Ukrainian artists and artists from around the world that created beautiful NFT collections that were then auctioned. And not only has MetaHistory done incredible NFT collections, but of course, the technology of NFTs and the tracking and traceability of art is being tested in Ukrainian museums, so that the tracking and traceability of antiquities, should museums get looted or stolen from in war, that we always know that those were Ukrainian antiquities and we can get them back, as well as know the authenticity of exactly where they came from. So the applications of technology specifically in the art world in a conflict scenario are incredibly important. Now, something else that is a little bit harder to talk about, but actually is my academic expertise. Before I got into tech, I was trained as a human rights barrister, and my expertise was in prevention and punishment of atrocity crimes, crimes against humanity, war crimes, genocide. And so I just started working with the team at Starling Labs, which is based at Stanford University in California, and works with the USC Shoah Foundation and Stanford Engineering in order to, for data integrity purposes, develop different tools and principles that can be applied. And right now, their main application is to be doing trainings for human rights lawyers and international justice organizations on how you can use blockchain technology to record evidence of atrocity crimes and make sure that that evidence is forever immutable on the blockchain and cannot be hacked and deleted by people who do not want that evidence made available to international investigators, especially the International Criminal Court and any ad hoc tribunals that come up in regard to the conflicts going on in Ukraine. So they're currently leveraging a number of different technologies, but one of their main partners is Filecoin, specifically using the blockchain to preserve history. And I think a lot of people who are huge blockchain technology advocates would say that the use of blockchain to preserve history is its number one use. So this is an incredible project, and please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you're interested in getting involved or supporting that effort. Another incredible Ukrainian technology product that has been built and led by the chairman of this conference, Sergey Waterfall Protocol, built by all Ukrainian developers during the war, both inside of Ukraine and living as refugees in other countries. So it's an incredible story of how this new L1 was created. And I suggest anyone that wants to learn more about it, please talk to our conference chairman. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about before I go is that I had an incredible opportunity to work with the film team that created the Netflix documentary The Great Hack, where I was the main subject. Uh, some of the best filmmakers in the world, and they, after discussions with me in California, flew out to Ukraine around the time we launched Aid for Ukraine, and they embedded with the Ukrainian government and specifically the Ministry of Digital, and created an incredible new documentary that just premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival for the world premiere. And so I hope everyone here will be able to see this film soon. It's called Defiant, and it follows different officials in the Ukrainian government, especially the Ministry of Digital, and all of the incredible bravery and initiatives that they have been able to accomplish, not just with technology, but with their diplomacy in the face of such an intense conflict, and what they've been able to do. So it's a really beautiful film, and I hope that all of you will be able to see it on a big streaming platform very soon, and that it can help raise awareness of everything that is going on in Ukraine and the amount of support that we need from the global community. So I'll end my talk the way that I like to do usually, which is on a very hopeful note. A quote from one of my heroes, the late great Dr. Stephen Hawking, where he said that technology will allow us to live in luxurious leisure. And what he actually meant by that was that the reason that we build technology products is to improve all of our lives so that we can concentrate on things we are passionate about. And all of the harder grunt work is actually done by the tech. So it's supposed to raise our consciousness, raise our ability to lead better and more prosperous lives. And I think a lot of these applications that specifically have been led by Ukrainians, both in and out of the government, are really showing and leading the way for so many other people around the world to take notice and follow in your footsteps. So thank you guys so much for having me. Such an honor to be here. And if you want to learn more about any of the things that I talked about, feel free to reach out to me at brittany@ownyourdata.foundation. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Brittany. As always, informative, insightful, and inspiring. Well, separate thank you for mentioning the waterfall. So I wanted to ask, at the beginning of your speech, you said that basically there are 3 sustainable goals, right? And I was going to ask, what should be these steps for Ukraine? How do you see the next steps for Ukraine to progress towards this direction, to achieving this goal, or to move in? I mean, obviously nothing could be achieved in absolute, but making the next steps or multiple next steps, this is that would be very helpful.
Absolutely, and I think rightfully so. The first important component of digital trust that I speak about is to become as transparent as possible, and that was really an amazing opportunity to work on Aid for Ukraine for me, because the Ministry of Digital started putting out reports that showed all of the transactions that were being used from the crypto donations and exactly what was purchased, down to the exact dollar amount, down to how many helmets, how many night vision goggles, how many bulletproof vests. And for a government to publish, especially in a military context, to publish how money is spent, that's probably the first time that has ever happened in the history of the world. So that was a huge opportunity, because Ukraine will continue to get more support if we can prove the excitement towards transparency and the want to become more transparent, because most governments around the world are not. And so if Ukraine starts leading the world in becoming more transparent and using these tools for tracking and traceability, then the ability for Ukraine to continue to lead the way in these technologies is a path that's really already been paved.
Well, thank you so much for this. And thank you, of course, for all the support you made for Ukraine. And let's ask. Yes, somebody may have a question here. Somebody is asking your contact information.
Yeah, here I can put it in. Is this a public comments box?
Yeah, public comment spots. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I will join that real quick and add my email in there. It is, there we go. My email and my Telegram. Let me put that in there 1 second. Okay, so it's Brittany at ownyourdata.foundation. Please feel free to reach out to me anytime. And then my Telegram is at blockchainbk. Here you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, sounds great. If dear attendees of the conference, please think if you have any other questions to Brittany. Otherwise, if there will not be more, I will be inviting our next speaker, who will be Alex Starikov.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, thanks, Brittany. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day.
You too.